This is The Point, news from Noise, daily market call presented by Kattan Ferretti Financial. I'm your CEO, Brad Roth, and I look forward to having a daily discussion with you over the topics that we present in this note every single morning. So without further ado, The Point.
All right, good morning, Point listeners. Cameron, take it away with the news before I dry drown over here. It was a long weekend at the pool, and I think I've got like a sinus full of like chlorine water.
Well, hopefully that gets better.
You got to carry me today.
I will do my best.
Great.
Looking at a national focus, the producer prices will be reported at 8:30 a.m., and the markets are awaiting tomorrow's release of consumer prices, retail sales, and the Federal Reserve's rate decision. Federal funds markets suggest a 98% chance that the Fed will raise rates by 0.25% tomorrow. Apple is working on a system for automated cars, and there is downward pressure on oil that are not difficult to figure out, as OPEC and its partners last month agreed on prolonging production cuts. The group's output was climbing the most since November, as members exempt from the deal restored lost supply. Oil productions also increasing included unexpected production boosts from Iraq. The Trump administration is looking at a total revamp of Wall Street rules, and Goldman Sachs is working to automate its IPO processes. There was a nice article in the Wall Street Journal on the history of the VIX and volatility in markets, and the Canadian dollar moved higher yesterday after a senior deputy governor made comments that suggested the economy may need less stimulus. While the market for smart speakers and devices is in the billions, the market for large servers is in the trillions. And looking outside the United States, technology and consumer services shares sent European markets higher this morning. The European Union is pushing ahead with plans to assert control over the clearing of euro-denominated derivatives. German finance minister said the UK is welcome back if they overturn their Brexit decision. The ZOO indicator of economic sentiment dipped to 18.6 points, down 2 points from May, and remains below its long-term average of 23.9 points. The UK inflation in May hit a 4-year high at 2.9%, a faster than anticipated rate, as food and energy prices rose ahead of Thursday's policy meeting for the Bank of England. UK consumer spending fell for the first time since 2013 last month, dropping 0.8% compared with the year earlier, an index by Visa and IHS market shows. ETF shorts of Chinese markets are rising as U.S. traders bet against the Chinese markets. And with 60% of the Shanghai towers remaining empty, China is entering a more mature phase of economic growth. And lastly, as Australia teeters on the recession line, there are now difficulties reaching its large gas reserves for fear that drilling will contaminate. Now, Bobby, you saw a nice bounce in tech stocks this morning.
Yeah, futures are higher. Tech stocks, the big five that kind of led the small decline in the NASDAQ the last couple of days have seen a bounce. I think if you look at some of the headlines, right, you look at, sure, some of these tech stocks are cyclical, and that's what most of the downward pressure that was mentioned in these economist reports and analyst reports was kind of focusing on. But at the same time, these big tech stocks have been working on things in pipelines for many years, right? And a lot of them are coming to market all at once, right? So that has, along the lines of Apple working on automated cars, competition spiking in those areas, Amazon just every day pushing forward with, real growth. And so when you see like real growth or a real growth spurt in these names, most of the time these pullbacks are opportunities to buy. And you have no idea if that, if there's nothing fundamental that's coming out that's disturbing their momentum. Usually it's just a normal pullback. Maybe someone's just unloading a lot of big positions and whatnot, or it just needs to take some gains. But there's not really anything this market's showing us that's a big fundamental reason to think that selling will be prolonged. And if you look at it, we're still within, I think, 0.5% of the all-time highs in the S&P. I mean, anything that you're hearing that's a big market alarm call, I mean, that is not what real volatility is. Volatility is not static on the way down. So it should not – you'll see a lot more ruckus than than this if it's going to be the end of the tech stock run or the end of automated cars or the end of automated speakers. I also think it's interesting, let's make a Steelers analogy here in Europe, right? Is Big Ben throws interception in the first half and everyone's like saying, oh, my God, we need to draft a quarterback next year. Oh, my God, the Steelers are terrible. We need to get rid of Tomlin and whatnot until we're deep into the playoffs and still leading the league with the most Super Bowls in the entire league, right? That's kind of what's going on with the populist movement in Europe. You can see, with May not having nearly as decisive a victory as she proclaimed she was going to have, especially, and with everyone realizing, okay, the Brexit is going to be a real stick in our craw, right? It's going to be a real pain. We're going to have to move derivatives clearings to other parts of Europe. Jobs are going to have to be shuffled around. And I thought it was an interesting comment, coming out of Europe, hey, UK, if you want to undo your Brexit, you're welcome back in. And it'll be interesting to see if that actually comes to fruition. So we'll keep an eye on that. But overall, that's pretty much it. What do you think? What's going on with the U.S. Open? I like Rahm.
You like John Rahm?
I like John Rahm, man.
So? Oh, man.
He's a big, beefy dude. I appreciate a guy that can eat. I think he's going to hit it a mile. And
has he even played in the U.S. Open?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
He's a young guy.
I hope he does well. I obviously want to see Sergio win, but
really, you're a Sergio guy?
I like Koepka. I do. I think Brad might be right on that. I think he's due for a U.S. Open, a breakout major victory, and I don't know. I think he's got the talent. So
all right, well, we'll see, man. Anyway, this has been The Point for Tuesday, June 13th, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow.